All right, welcome back. Another edition of Build Your Legacy Insurance Edition podcast. Bill, how you been, man?
Yeah, everything's good. Tis the season.
It is.
It's the joyful season, right?
I was going to say the joyful season, right? You know, Thanksgiving, Christmas on the horizon, New Year's, all that good jazz.
You get all the holidays jammed up into a month.
And then if you're like me, you know, we talked about planning. I wasn't planning well when I married my wife because we've got a birthday on December 22nd, and then right after New Year's, I've got a daughter's birthday on January 25th. So I've really jammed it all right in there.
There you go.
Right, you know.
So you do have to plan. It's like you got to save some gifts today. I can't just go out with Christmas.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a tough place to be. I would say I'm not the best gift giver in the world. And so it's a tough life, man.
Hey, we've been talking about it a long time. Just start using AI to see what kind of gifts it provides this year.
Chat GPT. But, you know, I'm lucky, actually. You know, I've got a 10-year-old little girl, and she's actually very helpful in helping me pick out gifts for her mom.
Okay.
But you got to watch the budget with her a little bit.
That's what I was going to ask.
You know, a year or two ago, I took her with me to the jewelry store, and before I could even get a word out of my mouth when they asked what you're looking for, she's like, diamonds. And they're like, oh, come on, we got a big shopper. So you gotta be a little careful, but she's definitely extremely helpful in helping me during this time of year.
That's good.
Yeah, that's
good.
Good times.
All right, let's jump to it.
Yeah, man. So I thought we'd get on here today. We've been talking a lot about planning, right? And everybody's going through that process. And I thought we'd talk about what elite independent agencies are doing differently.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. You know, give them some food for thought, you know, as they're looking at ways to improve their business going into the new year, and let them know what we're seeing from, you know, the most successful independent agencies in the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think since I just brought up the Chat GPT and the AI, I would say one of the things that they're doing better is utilizing the technology that's out there today.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. A lot of people are scared of it. And you see this, you know, hey, it's going to replace employees.
Yeah.
And there's that fear and that mindset. And I think the elite agencies that I see, they are looking at it as a way to multiply their output and help their employees do more.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I also say they're just willing to invest in their agency as well. And I do think one of the things that prohibits some agencies is they look back and they look at the price and they just stop.
Yes. Yeah.
And I do believe those elite agencies look at it, they identify that need, figure out how to get the right output, to your point, and they invest.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not afraid to invest in their business. They're intentional about it. I believe is the most important thing, is they're intentional about it. And it starts, as you said, with identifying the problem and the tool that can fix it. Right. And I think some of that bleeds into, you know, I think with a lot of the elite agencies we see, and part of it is, you know, we like, hey, we know our numbers, you operate like a business. And so that it makes it clearer to identify where the problems are.
Right.
Because they know what they're looking at. Right.
Yeah. They know both sides of the numbers. So I think that would be your point there, is know your numbers.
Yeah.
What's the expense numbers, as well as what's the income number?
What's the income number, and how is that going to help that quote to bind ratio, right? You know, how's that going to help that revenue per employee, those types of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and how does it identify those problems? It goes back to being intentional.
It's not only problems, again, goes back to what brings in the income.
Right.
They identify, like you said, the problem and how do they fix the problem, but they also figure out where can they get more income.
Yes.
And how can they capitalize on that?
They operate like a business, right? You know, I think one of the traps many independent agents fall into is they're transactional in nature. And so they're not intentional with their relationships with their clients. They're not intentional in their investments, those types of things. And that can lead to them not performing at that elite level for sure. But I think that the intentionality of their actions is what really drives a lot of those things for them.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So
I think that's a couple points, though. If you think about that way, they're intentional.
Yeah.
Well, you just brought up the relationships. I would throw after we talk about it, is the process. They're intentional with the processes and how they do things.
Yes.
But I mean, if you think about just relationships, and let's just stop there for a second, I would agree 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that, the best agencies we see from a relationship standpoint, they're intentional in identifying what their ideal client is, right? They're intentional in their work with their carrier partners. They're intentional with their submissions so that they're clean and they're complete and thorough. They're intentional in understanding what their carrier partner's appetite is and crafting their ideal client, their pipeline, those types of things to match that, right? And that, again, then when it looks to investing in that technology, allows them to identify really where that technology is going to assist their agency, which then kind of bleeds into the intentionality of the relationship with their employees and building that culture, right? How are they making it to where their employees are working more efficiently, more effectively, have that work-life balance, those types of things, and can have a career, not necessarily just a job.
Yeah. Well, I think you kind of hit it there, is they're intentional with the relationships.
Yeah.
And the relationships can run all over the place, but elite agencies are very intentional with those relationships.
Yeah, that really should be the theme of the podcast, right? Is or what separates an elite agency from the pack, and it's they're intentional in every metric or every avenue of their business, from their carriers, from their clients, from their technology investments, from their culture they're building, the system of how they operate, all those things.
They're not just winging it.
No.
They're not just going out there going, let's just do whatever today, or you do one thing, I'll do another thing.
Yeah.
It is very much driven down to they know what their relationships are, so they get the information that they need. Mm-hmm. They're good with their technology. Mm-hmm. They're intentional there, so they get that information. All of a sudden, they've built a best practice for their agency in how they process, whether it's new business, it's cold calling on things, whether it's processing renewals.
Yeah.
They have a process to get it done.
100%. And I mean, I think I probably sound like a broken record, right? Any successful franchise in professional sports, right?
Yeah.
They're extremely intentional in the players they acquire, the systems they run, the way they do business, the way they compensate their players, those types of things. And ultimately it breeds long-term success, right? So I would say it's the intentionality in every aspect of the business that leads to becoming an elite agency.
Yeah, absolutely. You build the culture for your business, for the agency that you want.
Yes.
Everything works together.
Yes.
And the culture, the people are now working together. So it's not just the technology working with you and for you. And it's not just the relationships. It's now our culture breeds this.
Yes.
And these are the expectations. This is the purpose that we have here. Again, it's intentional. It's not just, hey, let's wake up today and see what happens.
Right. Yes. It brings all the ingredients together.
Absolutely.
Right?
I hate to say it's simple what elite agencies do, because it's not simple. The thoughts behind it are very simple, and they can be very elementary.
Yeah.
But putting them together the right way to make it purposeful, it can be challenging, but it's not that difficult.
Yeah, and I think the goal of this is to share with you what we're seeing in the theme, right? So that as you're putting together those New Year's resolutions, maybe it's not touching all these areas we've talked about today. Maybe it's the intentional aspect of, hey, I'm going to sit down and schedule an hour, every day for prospecting. Right. Or maybe it's the intentional aspect of, hey, we're going to process our renewals in this fashion.
That's right.
Right. Maybe it's just one thing that you take, but, hey, you can start stacking it.
And look, unless you're a single owner, single employee, sole proprietor, use those relationships to get help, to get the input of what it is. Because most people can't be experts at everything.
Once you're the jack of all trades, right? You're the master of none.
Right. And we certainly get it. We do help a lot of people that are startups, and it's easier to do it because they don't have to worry about building a culture, because it's just them.
It's just them.
So there's some things that can be set aside if it's that way. But man, use those relationships, use that tech stack, get help to get this all together, because, bringing those other minds in are great. And if you don't have other minds, that's what we're here for as well, right? I mean, those are some things that we really hope that we can see what others do. We can partner them up with other agencies if they need be. But, we certainly have a team with our agency growth coach and others that, man, they help people like this all the time.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of our network as a whole, right? Is, hey, we're here as sounding boards. We're here as solutions to help you build that playbook, and help you get off on the right foot. If you'll do it right from the beginning, and if you'll be open to thoughts and ideas, there's a limitless amount of support within the framework of these relationships to help you achieve your goals.
Absolutely. Let's kind of end it on, let's be intentional.
Yeah,
until next week. Let's be intentional with what we do, and hopefully the person listening is intentional with what they do.
100%. I like it. All
right, man.
All right. Good to see you.
Good seeing you.
See you guys.
Thanks for tuning in. You can catch our Build Your Legacy Insurance Edition podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, or send us over a topic recommendation at podcast@siaofnc.com. If you're interested in learning more about what we do, visit us online at www.siaofnc.com. We hope you enjoyed our newest episode. See you next week.